David Goggins is an author, speaker, retired Navy SEAL, and one of the greatest endurance athletes of all time, who was named a hero of running by Runner's World. He went from growing up in an abusive household struggling with asthma, obesity, and racism, to becoming a Navy SEAL, world record holder for the most pull-ups done in 24 hours, and one of the highest paid public speakers in the world. And today we're gonna look at my take on his top 50 rules for success. Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like na 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 na. For my top 10, top 10, na na na. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, David Goggins, and my take on his top 50 rules for success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Put no one above you.
I mean, $1,000 a month, 300 pounds, I can't do any of this stuff.
Yeah.
These people are better than me.
Yeah.
So the first thing is, that's the first big problem right there.
Mm-hmm.
First big problem is that you have put a lot of people above you.
Yeah.
Put no one above you.
Yeah.
No one. But if you believe in something.
Say that again, because that's, but the man, the people that make more money, the people that are better looking, the ones that are on social media and they're so good at this.
I put God above me. Besides that, there's no one better than me.
Got it.
You have to become an equal.
Yeah.
So this is how I look at it. If you're playing, and I talked about it at your conference, if you're playing Roger Federer,
yeah.
Okay, before you get on the court with Roger Federer, he's the best of all time.
Yeah.
But you're also a professional tennis player, man.
Yep.
You're forgetting your own resume.
Yep.
So once you get on the court, let's say it's a grand slam. Mm-hmm. It's 5 sets, hopefully, if you can go the distance with this guy.
Yep.
But before you even bounce the ball to serve it, you're down 2 sets, because while you look across and you're playing Roger Federer.
Yeah.
But guess what? You hit a good shot on Roger Federer in the 3rd set, and you realize, I can play with this, but it's too late.
Yeah.
You gave up 2 sets before you got on the court. You gotta stop giving up 2 sets before the game begins. And we do that already. We give up 2 sets before the game begins.
Rule number 2, overcome adversity.
My dad really helped create this. I'm not giving him credit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he was a great dad, like clap my hands for his ass. He helped create this because he was just that, he was a devil. You know, he was a guy that had to be very insecure, very beat down. Something had to happen to him when he was younger. Because the way he treated me, my brother, my mom was just horrible. So he would beat us, my mom, my brother, me. And I'm not talking about like, oh, you got in trouble, so let me give you a whipping. When he was a drunk.
Okay.
So whenever he woke up, man, he woke up drinking, went to bed drinking. And that's just how it was. And when he get drunk, he just got violent. So my mom caught my dad cheating. We got home about 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm about 7, 8 years old. And I hear some ruckus outside my room as I'm getting ready to bed down for the night. And my mom and dad are outside my room because there's a staircase right there. And my dad is smacking the hell out of my mom and knocks her almost unconscious, where she's kind of out of it. You know, she's kind of loopy. She falls down. He grabs her by her hair and drags her down the stairs by her hair. And so at this age, I'm sitting there thinking, man, you know, what the fuck should I do, man? Like, you know, I'm scared, but then something in me saying, you got to go and do something.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm scared to death of this guy because he's been beating the shit out of me since I can remember. And I mean, like, laying me out for nothing. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, okay, man, like, what am I going to do? So my brother, he and I were very different. When my brother would see the fighting, he would go to this room and hide.
Yeah.
I didn't do that. I always stuck around. So this time I stuck around and I decided to help her out. So I go on the stairs and I jump on his back, and literally he tells my mom, you're raising a gangster, as she's like on the floor. And he's almost smiling, almost like proud. But that smile went to a frown pretty quick, and he beat the living hell out of me. And he beat me literally from my neck down to my ankles, like black and blue. So the next morning, I was gonna go to school half the day. My mom woke up and she pulled the covers back. And what she saw
Oh my gosh.
was how bruised I was. And so when she pulled the covers back and saw how bruised I was, I'll never forget looking at her face. Because she used to write letters for me, for me and my brother to miss PE because we were so bruised up from getting beaten.
Jeez.
So, hey, he's sick or whatever. And so, she was lying a lot for my dad. So this particular day, she didn't write a letter. But when I laid in the bed and looked up at my mom and she pulled the covers back, I'll never forget looking at her face. And her face is tattooed in my brain. And why I say that, this past year, I got the VFW award for Americanism Award. And if you Google David Goggins VFW Award, I'm in front of 5,000 veterans. And I'm getting this amazing award. John McCain got it. And I'm up here thinking, man, I'm up here getting this award. This is amazing. It's for giving back and also having a great military career. And I could give this 6-minute long speech. And I'm up there, man, I'm talking, and I'm thanking people who helped me out. And I get to my mom, she's sitting back, she's sitting right here on stage, but behind me. And I haven't cried in 30 years.
I can't even picture it.
Haven't cried in 30 years, I just don't do that. And I turn around and say, and I want to thank my mom for not picking me up when I was knocked down, but teaching me how to get up. Because she never picked me up ever. And because her circumstances sucked.
Yeah.
So anyway, I look back and I said that, and when I got done, I didn't even get a chance to say it. I looked at her eyes, and my head went right back to her face when she saw me bruised up. And that f***ed me up. And for 58 seconds, look at the video, and you'll see me, my head's down, and I'm sobbing.
Wow.
And I'm in front of 5,000 vets, and the guy who was hosting the thing had to come up to me and put his hand on my back. And I was just destroyed, overcome with emotion. And then 58 seconds go by and I get up and I deliver this speech. And so I tell you that because my life tattooed me.
Rule number 3, have a cookie jar.
Whenever times got hard, my mind said, you're not good enough.
Right.
Let's go.
Right.
So my mind wasn't, my eyes, my mind weren't connecting.
Right.
So how do you combat that?
So how you combat that is this. I call it the cookie jar.
Okay.
You have to remind yourself. We all have a story. All of us have gone through very hard times. But when we're in a hard time, our mind has a way of forgetting what all we've overcome. I have a way of taking 1 second when I want to quit and saying, okay, you endured this. So I look at my life and how I came up as the ultimate training ground versus most people look at it as why? Woe is me. God, why?
Right, exactly.
Why?
Right.
I had to flip this upside down and say, hang on a second. God was training me to be one of the baddest men on the planet Earth.
Absolutely right.
That's how this was my journey.
Rule number 4, face your fears.
When I was younger, life in society made this big world with all these endless possibilities.
Yep.
Endless possibilities. My life made my possibilities this big.
Yep.
Because it made me afraid of all these different things.
Yeah.
So all this stuff trapped my mind, it shackled my brain, it made me a prisoner within my own self, saying, this is all I can do. Because why? I'm afraid of this, I'm insecure over here, I got self-doubt over here, that behind me, good Lord, who knows what's behind me? I'm not gonna look behind me. So your life is this big. Versus it being like I can do all this shit out here if I start to break down these these different walls and barriers. And that's what I started realizing. I could become a Navy SEAL. I could become this, but I was afraid of the water. Think about this.
I know.
Why the f are you gonna go be a Navy SEAL when all you do is play in the water?
Yeah.
And we don't play, we're in it and we're living in it.
You're tying
the
up,
ocean.
you're swimming for
That's
miles.
Right. The ocean is unforgiving.
Yep. Yeah.
So my mind is, I'm gonna go be a Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
If I didn't face that fear, no one would ever know me. I was number 3 behind Michelle Obama for a long time until my book sold out.
Yeah.
And I was a guy just 21 years ago
Yep.
who was 300 pounds, could barely read and write, and now I have a book just 2 spots behind Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
Guess why?
Hopefully we get it above today.
Right. Just because I was afraid.
Yeah.
But you overcome those fears, guess what happens? The whole world, you unlock this door and everything opens back up again.
Also, if you want to have more motivation and self-love, check out my 254 series. They're free. The links to join are in the description below.
You can outwork anybody, no matter how badass they are. Everything I didn't want to do is what got me to where I'm at today. It's about what you're saying to yourself, but it also comes with work. So whenever I was getting beat down, physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever I was going through, just saying, I would put, you can't hurt me.
Rule number 5, develop an accountability mirror.
My mom didn't know how bad my grades were. She never saw one report card. I hit everything from, and she didn't even ask. She was so bogged down with life. And so I got away with a lot of shit because her mind was occupied. So it made me, honestly, a weaker person. So I scammed life. My mom helped me scam life for a while. But this time I couldn't scam life. I went the second time, took the ASVAB test, failed it again. And a week later, she got a letter in the mail from my high school. And I'm a junior in high school, and the letter says pretty much your son's gonna flunk out. He's missed 25% of school, because she was always gone, so I didn't went to school. He's gonna miss school, and so or he's gonna flunk out. So I was exposed once again. My mom goes, well, she read the letter to me, she put my bed, and her best advice was, guess what? You're gonna flunk out of school. That was it, in the conversation. So this is when I developed my accountability mirror. And
this is awesome.
I look in the mirror, and at this time, I didn't want to be the black kid in school. There's like 5 or 6 of us in school, out of like 1,700 kids, something like that. And I made up a character to kind of like draw attention from color.
Okay.
And so what I did was I started to design haircuts. And one haircut I had was the old man. And I shaved my head up here just like this.
You did this?
I did this.
Okay.
And I would keep the hair on the side like an old man has. And one time I shaved my whole head and had a reverse part. So I had hair up here and they kind of zigzag. So I did things to be this cool, crazy, kind of like creative kid. Like Criss Cross came out this time, so I had my pants sagging but backwards. So my back pockets were here. I had a toothbrush. I was crazy, man. But I was a crazy cool kid in school. So I look in the mirror, I see this letter, I'm f***ed up, and I'm like, you know what, man, no one's coming to help me. I remember back to what my principal said, 'cause I went to the principal when they wrote that shit on my car and in my notebook, and the best advice he can give me, God help his soul, was this: they're ignorant. They spelled nigger Niger. God. And so but honestly, I talked to the guy as I wrote my book, and I have nothing wrong with Principal Freeman. I actually interviewed him for the book, and he was happy to interview. He's a good man. What the f*** you could tell some black kid, you're a white guy in white society, we could tell me. You could shut down the school and have a damn. So I started talking to myself this way in this mirror. What the f*** is Principal? Because at that time, like, this is the best you can do, Principal Freeman? That was my mind then, but in this mirror, it wasn't my mom, it wasn't Principal Freeman, it wasn't my dad, it was me. Because when nobody coming back to help David Goggins, that was my mindset now. And so with my non-spelling ass, I started getting these sticky notes and writing, you're f***ed up. And my mom wakes up like, what is wrong with you? I go, man, I have to change because I can't stay here. I can't, I looked at myself in the mirror and I was defeated. I go, look at myself. I'm like, who am I? So I'm defeated in this mirror and I'm like, okay, I'm changing.
Rule number 6, push yourself to the extreme.
On the other side of that extreme place that I call suffering, call whatever you want, there's a whole nother world that people have not even examined. But you have to go to that extreme place to examine it. We want to stay here in this comfortable place. Once you're going to push yourself to that extreme place, it's like a whole nother universe. It's almost like you're an astronaut and you've examined something like up in outer space. No, it's always been there. But you have to be going through all the muck and all the shit to examine it. You realize, wow, God, through all this crap, there's a whole nother universe over here in my mind. Whole nother universe.
Rule number 7, be a practitioner.
We have a theorist and we have a practitioner. The theorist is a person that's gonna sit back and read books from a library that someone else wrote. They become real smart about what someone else wrote, okay? A practitioner is me. I put myself in hell, lived in it for a long time and figured out how the human mind works while suffering, while in pain, while in misery.
Yes.
And that's how I wrote my book.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you exactly what your mind is thinking. Most of us don't stay in hell long enough to write the book.
Yeah.
I stayed in long enough to write it and finish the book.
Rule number 8, make yourself into a superhero.
Everybody thinks I'm the world's toughest that ever
Right.
lived. If I just talk about, I broke the pull-up record, I did all these races, I went through SEAL training, I was in 3 hell weeks, Ranger school. If I talk about all the badassery, like we like to do on social media, and I don't tell you that I was a f***ed up kid, and I was scared of shit, and I was depressed and insecure, and all this shit, what good am I for anybody?
Right.
I'm a superhero, but I'm a liar. I'm that now, but I wasn't born that.
Yeah.
I had to make myself into this shit.
Rule number 9, master your mind.
When I was in the worst time of my life in Hell Week, I looked at everybody and said, I'm the most trained person here.
Yeah, well, that's the truth.
I've gone through more mental torture than any of you all can even fathom.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the baddest people on the planet. I'm looking at them like this. You guys can't hold a stick. So I started looking at verses like, I don't belong here, versus like, I might be the baddest person to ever come here.
Wow.
Who could have pulled this off? Who could have been given a sewer to live in their mind and say, okay, at birth, I'm gonna put you in the worst place on the planet Earth and let me see if you can go to the top of the mountain.
Right.
With nothing.
Right.
But just hard work, grit, and figuring it out and not putting yourself back in the dungeon every time something got hard. So that's what became my daily voice was, you really are the baddest person on the planet.
Right.
And after a period of time, you start to believe that.
Rule number 10, work harder.
We have 2 voices in our mind, and boy, I know they're fucking true. I've heard them. I hear them now. And they're real. It's that one voice, that voice I used to love to fucking hear, that we love to hear. It's that soft motherfucker. That soft motherfucker voice that says, sleep the fuck in. It's okay. It's that coddling voice. You want to be hugged and nurtured and all that shit that says it's going to be okay. Well, there's another motherfucking voice that wakes you up in the middle of the night. It's not your girlfriend. It's not your boyfriend. It's that demon fucking voice that whispers in your fucking ear that says, get up, motherfucker. You're not good enough. You gotta work fucking harder. You haven't put enough time in. It's that voice you want to run away from. It's that voice you don't want to fucking hear. But guess what? It's that voice you need to fucking listen to. Stay hard. Listen to the whisper.
Rule number 11, go to war with yourself.
You're gonna find peace from going to war with yourself, because we all got shit. We all got shit. People look at me. The reason why my story resonates with people, because I don't hide. I'll tell you exactly who the fuck I am. I will admit to it. People are great at hiding. So they want to just find peace. No, you got to take your shit, fix whatever's fucked up in you. Don't just shove it under the rug. Fix it, and then you'll find some peace later.
Rule number 12, change your standards.
I work with a guy who's in a business like this for 5 years. I'm not gonna mention his name.
Yeah.
He called me up 5 years ago and said, I want you to work with me.
Yeah.
His job, a big day for them was if you had 5 meetings and 40 calls, $40, that was like, according to their big business plan, that was a day.
Yeah.
He said, I wanna make more money. All this shit's just it's bogging me down. I said, this is your day? 5 meetings and 40 calls?
Like, what do you start at 10 and end at 4?
And this company you work for says that this is a great day? This is what we want? I had this guy, no shit. One day, he made 1,000 cold calls and had 7 meetings.
Yeah.
So his new norm, which is now the company, like, how'd you become? He made 100,000, went to making $600,000 in 3 years.
Yeah.
That's the jump he had. Just because his mindset changed, because the company put this
label.
This is what is a good day. A good day is 40 calls, 5 meetings. I said, that's a bullshit day, because you're comparing yourself with mediocre people.
Bingo. Bingo.
Do not run with mediocre people. I'm going to tell you how to beat these mediocre people. This is your new 300 dials and 8 meetings.
Yeah.
And his whole world changed.
Rule number 13, find your why.
How do we learn from you and the SEALs to handle our pain? When we're in the midst of pain, because it hurts, and it hurts physically sometimes, obviously, and then some of us are dealing with emotional pain. What do we do in those moments when we're feeling the most pain and we're going, I cannot go one more second?
So this is the thing. A few years ago, the Navy SEALs designed a program called the Buds Prep Program. And my last 2 years in the military, I did 21 years. They sent me down into Great Lakes, Chicago, and we were training these guys to get ready to go to Buds, SEAL training, because a lot of guys weren't getting through. We thought this program would help them get through. So these guys would leave our program studs, push-ups, sit-ups, swimming, everything. But the numbers were the exact same. So I was scratching my head, like, how in the world can these guys go through 2 months of this before they get to Buds and still quit? And I'm going to answer your question in a second.
No, go for it.
I started going back through my mind and realizing one thing. We were building bigger, stronger, faster quitters. Why is that? If you don't work on the one thing, the most powerful weapon in the world is your mind.
Yeah.
So the answer to your question is this. Whether it be physical pain or mental pain, we all have to start from zero with pain. And what that means is, if you don't go back, we all have something that bothers us. Everybody in this world is insecure about something.
That's right.
Something in life, whether it be your family, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your wife, your husband, your kids, something has messed you up. And whenever you're in physical pain, even though you might not be thinking about that mental stuff that happened to you, your mind is thinking about it. All these dungeons that we've created, all these trap doors that our life has created. Most of the time we quit is because we don't have any mental tools to get us through the other side. So my whole thing for people is you have to examine, why are you doing it in the first place? What makes people quit so much in SEAL training and all other special ops training is the mind. It's always comfortable to sit there, you're watching the Navy SEAL show, Discovery Channel, you're in a 72-degree house.
Oh, yeah.
You have your lemonade, your milkshake, whatever. You're like,
Yeah.
I can do that.
Oh, sure.
You're comfortable.
Although I'll say this, I never say that.
Well, some people do.
Yeah.
A lot of folks think, because it feels very comfortable in that comfortable environment.
Oh, totally, absolutely.
The second you get out there in that environment where it's 40 degrees, like in my third hell week, we had a guy die of pulmonary edema. Died out there in my third hell week.
Oh, no.
You have to really want whatever you're going for.
Yeah.
If not, all these questions that come up, like you said, how do you go one more step further?
Yeah.
Your mind's going to ask you all these questions. How can you go one more step further? If you don't have the answers to that, and I can't give them to you.
Yeah, that's right.
You have to know, why am I here? For me, when I was going through SEAL training, I was willing to die. So all these negative questions that kept on coming up in my head, I had the answer for them. It's those people that don't have the answer for those negative questions.
Right.
And if you can't answer those questions, you will quit.
Rule number 14, use the 40% rule.
When your mind, this is this whole 40% rule I talk about all the time, that I made up a long time ago. And I started making it up through pain.
Tell them what that is. Where'd you go?
So basically, the 40% rule is, I am a strong believer that we quit. Because why? How the f does a 297-pound cockroach guy who quit on everything is now considered one of the baddest men on the planet? How is that possible? It means I had to change one thing, my mindset. So there's no way in hell that was in me, but that guy was in me. When that guy came down here and said, hey, guess what, man? You're a fat ass, but I'm gonna now make you a badass. I'm gonna miracle this to be a badass. No, it was in me. I had to believe and make that belief work. And through hard work, I did that. So the 40% rule is like, we have like a car. Some cars have a governor on it. And when you get to like 92 miles an hour, that car will start doing this because it can't go any faster. Those cars that don't have governors on, like a fast ass, whatever, Porsche or whatever, I'm gonna bury it, gone. We have that ability in us, but we have put this governor on our minds. And you have to, the factory that put the governor on that car, the factory is now you. that put that shit on your mind. You gotta take that off. Until you take it off, you're gonna constantly get to 92 miles an hour and do this. Because you ain't gonna go no faster. As a matter of fact, you might even go slower. So basically, I started realizing this through my life, through going through all these times.
Rule number 15, change your body language.
So I worked with a few pitchers. I won't name their names, big name pitchers. And I studied them for a long time. Man, I want to be better, man. I want to be better. I want to be better. So I got film on them. I studied them. I'm like, okay, what is wrong? That's it. I saw it. Whenever something bad would happen on the mound, that's the first thing they would do.
Totally.
The head drops, shoulders roll forward, they look down. That sends a direct message to your brain that I failed. I am a failure. That starts the downward spiral to being a failure. On that mound, you can't ever recover. It's that, so I started teaching this. It's that person who, you throw a bad pitch, you get the ball back, your chin is not high, because that shows that you're way too proud. Your chin stays here. Your shoulders stay nice and level. Your feet firmly on the ground. Your hands planted like I'm ready to beat somebody's ass, and I'm ready for battle. It tells your mind, wow, maybe we didn't f up that bad. We're still in the fight. So that's the one thing I always do is like, even if I f up, keep your body positioned like you're still a warrior.
100%.
Like you're still fighting. If you get 100 bad calls in a row. Hello, I'm David Goggins. How you doing today? Okay, wrong one. Don't start getting poopy pants and getting upset with yourself. No, it's a mentality, and your body language has a direct thing to your brain and how it functions.
Rule number 16, have a mantra.
What's your daily meditation or mantra or repetition to yourself?
Every day I tell myself, I used to believe I was the weakest man that God ever created. So now I believe that I'm the hardest human being that God ever made. I don't care if it's true or not. It's the most important conversation to me. It's the thing that drives me every day. It's the one thing that keeps me going every day is that you must constantly be that man that you want to be.
Rule number 17, face your demons.
So before I start this journey to be Navy SEAL, I go back to see my dad because I realize now I got to fix some shit. I'm blaming everything. I got to go back. You know how a lot of times you're like, if you're a runner, your right knee may hurt, but it's not your right knee that hurts, it's really your left hip. But we're concentrating on the right knee. I'm concentrating on all my shit. But I need to go back to the root of the problem, which is my dad. I got to face the demon. I got to go back and see what made him so f***ed up to make me so f***ed up. Why am I f***ed up? So I go back and I go back in as an older man now. I'm in my 20s. I'm not a kid anymore. And I want to see this man and face him as a grown man, but still as a kid in my head. I was still a kid, but I was a grown man as my age. I went back and I realized he was the same man that he was.
Still the same.
Still the same. And I talked to him. He was still nuts. And but I had to go back and face that one more time, but to face it in a different way.
How'd you do it different?
I looked at him in a way, we never said sorry to one another. And he went off about my mom and my grandparents and all kind of shit. But I looked at him in a way that I realize now why you f***ed us up. I had to almost be him to realize it's okay, brother. It's okay, because I realized that somewhere in your life, something f***ed you up. And you didn't deal with it. And so you put that shit on me, my mom, and everybody around you. I'm gonna deal with my shit.
Wow.
So even though you gave me all this shit, you gave me a satchel of shit that I didn't deserve, and now I'm all f***ed up, and people think I'm a liar and I'm all f***ed up. You gave me this. You created this nightmare of Goggins. I'm gonna fix it though.
Rule number 18, be raw.
I saw these Navy SEALs before I became one. My God, they're better than me. They're better than me. I gave up 100 sets. And I had to work up to realize these are human beings. With the same shit I have. Yeah, there's some people who run faster, swim better, but mentality is mentality. There's no, you're not gonna outwork me, so I'm gonna catch up somewhere. So that being said, I used all that 300-pound man, that fat guy, that dumb guy. And people say, why you say dumb? You have to be real with yourself.
You gotta be raw.
If you're not smart, you're dumb, but you can become smart.
Yep.
You can become smart. It's not a permanent tag.
Yeah.
You're dumb forever.
Yeah.
You're fat forever.
Yep.
No, be raw. Don't find the cushy word.
Rule number 19, be savage.
So I get a lot of emails about how do I stay motivated, hungry, driven. Well, let me tell you something. Most days in life when I wake up, I'm not motivated, hungry, or driven. I have a commitment to myself, to the best version of myself. What most of us are looking for is this special fucking feeling of, oh, I feel great this morning. I'm gonna get out of bed and get a quick 5 miles in or go to the gym. If you're looking for that feeling, let me tell you one thing, it ain't gonna come. You have to learn to do when you don't want to do. Learn to bring that savage mentality out of yourself. The animalistic motherfucker. You think a savage gives a fuck about how he feels or how she feels? They just do it. Learn to be your best self when you're least motivated. Stop looking for a feeling to control what goes on in your life. You have an obstacle to overcome, so overcome the motherfucker regardless of what's going on.
Rule number 20, visualize.
I'm a big guy in visualizing. I'm a big guy in making a world. It may not exist. To me, it does. To me, it does. And I'm overpowering myself every day. And you got to find tools to do that. That's the tool that I use.
Rule number 21, wanted bad enough.
Anybody, not just Navy SEALs, but anybody that can accomplish anything that is hard. Mm-hmm. The only separator is that they really want to be there. Mm-hmm. There's some people that get inspired, mm-hmm. and that inspiration moves them to try to do something. But the inspiration is very high right now in this nice environment. We're in a nice environment. Mm-hmm. The ocean's out there. Mm-hmm. I'm talking to you. If I want to go to the refrigerator and get something to drink, mm-hmm. eat, I can. I watch a movie about some badasses, you're inspired. Mm-hmm. But the second you're not in this environment, mm-hmm. and you're actually doing what inspired you, that suck factor is now real. You can't just get off your couch and get a shake, mm-hmm. or get a box of donuts, or turn the TV, or go take a shit or a piss, or mm-hmm. go get your girlfriend to cuddle up. No, mm-hmm. you're now there. And only those people who have been there 1,000,000 times in their minds, mm-hmm. and have lived in that water and have suffered 1,000,000 times and realize my legs may break, mm-hmm. my knee may break, my bones will hurt. I will be the coldest I've been in my life. I will be miserable. Mm-hmm. And accept that. Mm-hmm. Because what happens is when you get in a horrible situation in life, your mind, I call it my 1 second decision. When you get in a horrible situation in life, your mind immediately says, get the f out of here. Mm-hmm. Everybody's does, even if you want to be there. Mm-hmm. But it starts to have all these different questions, mm-hmm. in your mind in that 1 second. And it says, okay, why are you here? Why are you doing this? Why this? Why that? And then you start to say to yourself, if you don't want to be there that bad, I have a beautiful wife at home, man. Why the f am I doing this, man? Mm-hmm. Like, this is stupid. This is gonna get these guys injured. Like they're gonna pay for this, mm-hmm. for the rest of their lives. I'm not gonna break my body up to do this. Mm-hmm. Your mind starts to say, yeah, this is stupid. Mm-hmm. But if you are already knowing that this is gonna happen to you, you have all the answers to these questions that your mind starts to give you when you're in suffer mode.
Rule number 22, change your self-talk.
Let's say for shits and giggles, I'm training for a 100-mile race.
Yeah.
Let's say a 200.
Just for shits and giggles, I'm training for a 100-mile race.
Right.
Okay, good.
So let's say I'm training for a 100-mile race, and I get to mile 50.
Yeah.
And I feel like shit. Mm-hmm. And like everybody else, my mind gets soft. Mm-hmm. Why? Because I'm human.
Yeah.
I'm not some damn, hybrid creature that was formed from the heavens above. No, not. Human. I suffer. I don't like it. I'm uncomfortable. I don't like it.
Yeah.
So my mind starts to get weak, and we start to forget about how badass we are. I call that the cookie jar, but it's not about the cookie jar right now.
Yeah.
This is about self-talk.
Yeah.
But the cookie jar kind of goes to self-talk too.
Yeah.
It's a piece of it. So basically what I do here is you have to make sure that your mind doesn't become spastic. Mm-hmm. When it's suffering, when it's in pain, all it wants to do is find the easy way out, which is usually quit. Mm-hmm. If you quit, the pain goes away immediately.
Yeah.
You gotta give yourself enough energy and fuel in your mind to stay just a little bit longer so you can talk yourself into staying for the whole thing.
Yeah.
And this is how it works. Most of us never start anything cold. if you're gonna go to college, you gotta study your ass off. If you want to run a 100-mile race, a marathon, if you want to go be Mr. Olympia, if you want to go be a scientist, a doctor,
Be one of the best salespeople on the planet.
You
Be an
gotta
entrepreneur.
work.
You gotta work.
But this
and
is
you
what
gotta
we do.
build. You gotta build up to that.
But what happens is, in that moment where we need self-talk, when we're failing and we're in our worst spot possible, we forget the back end.
Yeah.
Oh, my fault. The front end. All the build up to where we're at today. We forget how much work we put in. So for me, I'm at mile 50.
Say that one more time. Say that more. So I'm in the middle of it.
Right.
I'm making my calls. I hate it. You're at mile 50.
That's right.
You hate it. Your mind's getting, wiggly on you.
I just want to get out of here.
Yeah.
We forget that we put years.
Yeah.
Years, maybe not into making these dials, but to getting where you're at today.
To become this person.
To become this person, to be in a position to make this money, or whatever the you want to make, whatever you want to do in your life.
Yeah.
We forget that. We forget that journey on what it took for us to get in this moment to make the right decision.
Yeah.
So that's my self-talk is this. Okay, I want to get the out of here, man. I'm done. Then I remember this. You ran 2,000 miles training to be in this moment right now.
Mm-hmm.
We forget that.
Yep.
We forget the 3 o'clock in the morning runs or getting up early for work or whatever you're doing. We forget all that. In that moment of suffering, I remind myself,
Yeah.
I only have 50 more miles. I put in 6 months of training.
You did 67,000 pull-ups.
67,000 pull-ups, that's right.
4,030, right?
Exactly.
This is no big deal.
We forget all of that.
Yeah.
So what I do, my self-talk is basically going back down memory lane.
Yeah.
Of all those f***ed up days, I ran the rain, or I had to study real late at night, and I didn't want to do it, but I did it to get here.
Yeah. That's the hook.
That is the hook.
That's the hook.
I wanted to get here.
Yeah.
Now you're here, and now you want to quit?
Yeah.
So you got to remind, but this thing about it, if you haven't put in any hard work to reflect on, you're f***ed.
Yeah.
So there is no self.
Because you got nothing to pull back on.
It's just a lie.
Nothing to say, hey, you've done this before.
That's right.
Or you've done something like this
That's
before.
right. All this like people want to be all positive, all this positive talk, it doesn't work if it's a lie. Like if you didn't study for your big exam and you go into it saying, I'm going to pass it.
Yep.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're going to fail it.
Yeah.
That self-talk is not going to work. Self-talk without real work is just a lie.
Yeah.
So my self-talk is me reminiscing back on the struggle to get to this moment.
Yeah.
And that tells me we're not quitting today.
Yeah.
Not today.
Rule number 23, find your motivation.
For several years, I gave myself a way out.
When you were 300
When I was,
pounds?
when I was 300 pounds, when I was, all the way up till I was 24 years old, I would climb a mountain, I'd fall back down. I start climbing, I fall back down for the first 24 years of my life. I went to my first Hell Week, my second Hell Week, and then my third Hell Week came in SEAL training, and the CEO, Captain Bowen, looked at me. I'm on crutches, I'm all jacked up. He says, hey, this is your last time you're gonna go through buds. This is it. I had several stress fractures. I had double pneumonia, I was jacked up, and he gave me a few months to heal. And he said, this is your last time going through. I shouldn't even let you go back through.
Wow.
I started Navy SEAL training with stress fractures. Stress fractures,
That's
not
hard to finish.
splints.
That's hard to finish.
Stress fractures. Starting the hardest training, arguably the hardest training in the world with stress fractures. And this is when I started to not put a cap on the body if the mind is there. Every morning I would wake up at 3:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, go to my dive cage, go in there before anybody saw me. I'd get duct tape, and I would tape from my forefoot all the way up to the mid of my calf, and I would put 2 black socks on. And so I ran not using the pivot.
Oh my gosh.
And I ran my hip flexors. So for the first 45 minutes to an hour, I was in absolute excruciating pain. But what motivated me through that whole process was the fact that this kid came from that. I'm in the hardest training in the world, in the worst shape of my entire life. What if I can graduate amongst these studs?
Wow.
All these guys around me are studs. They're stallions. They're gladiators in my class. They're all healthy. Most of them. They're not broken like this. They may have some, everybody's sick going through that training.
Yeah.
But if I can graduate, it would change everything for me. If I can start the hardest training in the world, broken, and graduate. So my mind fed off of that. You are now, from the weakest man, you are now the hardest man to ever live. If you can do this. If you can do this. Life is one big mind game.
Yeah.
And you're playing it with yourself. Is it true? I don't care. It got me through the hardest training, starting out broken. Where most people quit, I had just started.
Wow.
And when you take that mindset and you learn to flip that around, that's what made me powerful. And my body followed. And 3 months later, my stress fractures were healed by running on them.
Rule number 24, always do your best.
Do you like suffering or do you just deal with suffering? Real answer.
Real answer?
Yeah.
I like to see, real answer, I like to get a bunch of men together.
Okay.
Men that are the hardest of the hard. And I want to be with these men. And I want to see them suffer. Because I'm suffering right along with you, but I want to see me get through it. I want to see what you're made of. I want to see, almost like the Colosseum in Rome. Let's go to the Colosseum. And the only way to see who the baddest is to suffer. You can't do it by writing a paper. So let's go, because why? What I found out through my life was I thought of myself as some weak little kid. And what I found out, and the only message I want to get across to people is, once you change one thing, your mindset, you can attack everything. And I find it fascinating. I'm fascinated because I'll be in these moments. I put these guys on some pedestal.
Yeah. Which people do with you.
They do with me, and they shouldn't. And I was this guy who was a piece of shit looking at these, oh my God, how are you guys this amazing? But once I worked my way up there, I said, my God, man, we can all compete. Let's go. So do I like suffering? I like suffering in the way that is competitive, that brings out the absolute best in me and in everybody else. So I want to see a man be defeated. I want to see a man get broken and say, F you. I love these men. These men I love, but there's very few of them. There's very few of them. And there's very few that are willing to go there more than once.
Rule number 25, be your own hero.
I get a lot of questions, people asking me for help. So I asked them, what have you done to help yourself? Most of them say, I've been working hard. I'm all about being your own hero, but I'm not about kissing your ass. In life, a lot of us believe that we're working much harder than we actually are. We think if we got up early for 4 days, we've earned something. You gotta drop your entitled mindset. It's dead weight. We believe we work harder than we actually have. Trust me, most of us haven't. The one thing in life you gotta realize is this. Learn to help yourself. Don't count on other people to help you.
Rule number 26, reprogram your mind.
For instance, in Hell Week, they said when you get to Wednesday of Hell Week, you're broken. So everybody on Wednesday.
But give them context. You're talking 72 hours without sleep.
You're talking about 130 hours of training.
Yeah.
It starts on Sunday, ends on Friday, and on Wednesday, you're almost done. You're halfway through.
Yeah.
So everybody on Wednesday, they hear this. Because everybody says Wednesday is like, man, you're so tired, you're done. So that becomes your new norm.
Yeah.
No.
You're cruising into Wednesday,
That's
getting
right.
ready to feel tired when you don't even know why.
Because someone told you could feel tired.
Bingo.
So for me, I was like, hang on a second. I started studying my mind a whole bunch while growing up, facing these things. Don't listen to anybody's dialogue but your own. They're tired, they're not you.
Yeah.
So it's just all about, your mind has a tactical advantage over you at all times. It knows your weaknesses, it knows your strengths, and it will guide you into your nice comfort zone.
Yeah.
We have to reprogram our mind to get a different vantage point so then you know how to be in charge of yourself.
Yep.
Versus your mind being in charge of you.
Rule number 27, visit your place of discomfort.
No matter how far you get in life, you have to be able to go back to scratch in your mind at a moment's notice. You can never get so far beyond scratch. What that means is when you accomplish something in life, if you want to go back to scratch and go back to that $7 a month place where I once lived and visit that place for a long period of time, if you were here when you went back to scratch, you would now be here. Scratch is what makes you better. Scratch, friction, obstacles create growth. There's no friction when you're this far up in the game anymore. You think there is.
When you've achieved,
that's right. When you achieve so much, the friction is minor. Because why? I'm sore, I'm gonna get a massage today. I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat today. The refrigerator is always full. So your comforts are now, so your discomfort is now very minuscule to your discomfort back here in the $7 a month place. So you have to go back to the total discomfort to then raise your level of where you're at now. I'm not saying stay there and stay there. Visit
it.
And then you raise your level.
Take a day trip.
That's right.
Yeah.
Always take day trips.
Yeah.
Rule number 28, love the challenges.
Who I was this nobody guy. And I created this Goggins. And that Goggins, there's David Goggins and there's Goggins. David Goggins is a calm, cool guy that sits back. Used to be a, weak kid. Now he's just a normal guy. Goggins is a guy that is willing to tape up his legs to go after it. In that book, you read about David Goggins and also Goggins. What I realized in my life is that Goggins is who I love. Goggins is who I created. My dad created David Goggins. I created Goggins. So what's happening with me, and since Can't Hurt Me came out, and since I got on social media, which is why I don't like social media, which is why I'm not on there very much, which is why I give people one time, I have to do me. I have to do me. So people get it twisted, man. I am who I am. What's in that book is me. So now what they see is this guy who's trying to get people to get off their ass. That just happened to happen, man. I didn't set out. When I set out to be a SEAL and set out to go to Ranger School and all this other shit I did and break records, I didn't set out to please.
Right.
I didn't set out to say, hey, pay me now. I got a great story. That. And I realize now that my life has kind of gotten to a point where people know me, I have followers and whatnot. The biggest depression of my life is you get caught up into helping so many people out, and it's great, and I love that, but you lose yourself in all of that shit.
Truth.
It literally, and people go, man, but my God, like you're changing. I get all that shit, man. But what the is motivating you in that book? What's motivating you is the stories I'm telling you about what I did in my life. Once I stop living that, I'm no more.
Yes.
I am not the that you are now being motivated from. So right now in the mirror, I now got back to Goggins. I'm now back to running 100 miles a week. I'm now back to getting the. I saw and I talk to my girl about all the time. You travel, you speak, you all this. It's all great and dandy for most people. I'm Goggins. What makes me is the dungeon. And and people go, well, oh my God, like they're gonna hear this, my God, you don't have any peace in your life. Don't get it twisted. Weak people who hear me get all poopy pants about how I talk. So be it. What changed me was I had to be hard on myself. And I have to continue to grind myself into a fine dust. Period. That's where I feel good. I accomplished something. If things come easy, it's not fun. I must fail at something repeatedly. It has to haunt me. And then once I complete it, I feel like I accomplished something. I don't want to set out and say, oh, there's an A. We're good. It's stupid. No, I want to turn it in 1,000,000 times and say you fail. You fail. And I said, okay, roger that. And sit there and analyze what I'm doing wrong. Go to these places that people don't go to anymore because all this social media shit and everything's computerized. I want to go to that dark place in my mind and say, okay, how are we going to get this done?
Rule number 29, visualize.
We live in a world that's so busy and so active and moving so fast. Right now, I am sitting with Tom Ferry.
Yep.
My mind is sitting with Tom Ferry.
Yep.
It's not talking to Tom Ferry while thinking about, my God, I got to order some more books. I'm sold out of here. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. That's the first thing about visualization.
Yep.
You must make sure to silence out all the bullshit of life, which is very hard to do.
It is very hard.
Because your visual picture must be clear as shit. It has to be clear. It can't be like kind of in and out, like a fuzzy TV. You gotta see it. It has to become real. You gotta take a snapshot of it 1,000,000 times, put in the bank. That snapshot of me was getting that 4,021 pull-up knocked out, because the record was 4,020.
Yep.
I visualized that over and over and over again. I visualized what I was gonna say, because the guy's name was Stephen Highland.
I was thinking like what you were gonna say to
What
him.
I was gonna say to him on video when I finally got his ass.
Yep.
So I visualized success. But then I went through, that's the fun part.
Yeah.
I have to do 4,020 pull-ups to get to that 4,021 pull-up. I know now, because it took me 3 chances to get it. All those failures, they were great for me to examine where I was f***ing up at along the way. So I take all that and I put in the bank as far as visualization. Okay, when I get to 2,500 pull-ups, my hands start to rip. Okay, I get ready for that. So I started visualizing, how am I gonna handle the pain? Okay, then you start visualizing, okay, my nutrition was off. You start visualizing all these things because you have to mimic it 1,000,000 times, but I can't mimic 4,020 pull-ups by doing it.
But you can see all the milestones where you failed.
That's right.
And see yourself going beyond it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that was my big thing about, I had to walk in, get the chalk, I had to see everything over and over and over again. And when I realized I had to keep that visual, that picture in my head for 17 hours. It took me 17 hours to break that record. So for 17 hours, while I used to be loud everywhere I went, I put these headphones in. Now, I never listened to music, but I listened to one song, Going the Distance, for 17 hours. It's 2 minutes and 13 seconds. For 17 hours, I had that in.
That's a lot of Rocky.
A lot of Rocky. And I just went here. And so I was able to visualize every rep. So I visualized my hand placement, making sure that felt right before I got going. I didn't ignore all the little pains. My hands got sweaty. Okay, that means I was aware of everything. That means my hand's about to rip. It's getting sweaty. Wipe it off. Be aware. Everything. I was totally in the moment because of how I visualized everything.
Rule number 30, don't lose perspective.
I have a good living now, for me, where I'm at in my life. I was out on a fire in Colorado, and we were digging fire line on this, like 50%, like it was like on the side of a daggone mountain. And we're trying to keep the fire from moving, and we're digging this fire line 14 inches, or my fault, 18 inches wide, 3 miles long, 12 of us digging. And it is the hardest work. You make $12 an hour, okay? Nothing. You set up your shop, like when you're done digging, you just pretty much lay down, you go to sleep, and you get up and you dig some more.
Really?
This happens for 2 weeks long.
What are you digging? It's like a hole, you're digging a line.
So you're trying to get down to a mineral source. So you're trying to get down to the earth. So that if that fire is moving, it can't burn dirt.
Really?
So you're moving fuels.
Got it.
So not only are you digging, you're cutting down trees. It's hard work. But the moral of the story is I'm 43. Don't need to do it at all. This is why I do it.
You're making money.
I'm making money. I have a good life. I don't need to do it. And everybody asks me why I do it. This is why. This 21-year-old kid was out there, and he wanted a pair of running shoes. That's all he wanted was a pair of running shoes. 60, 70, 100 bucks, whatever. Easy for us, running shoes. But he looked up at the mountain that we had been on for days digging this fire line. And he said, that'd take me 5 or 6 hours of work to buy those shoes. He said, I'm not gonna buy them. It's the perspective of life. That perspective of life right there, that is the value that we lose. When things start to come so easy in life, it's the perspective that 21-year-old had. He looked up at that mountain and thought, he looked at his hands, he looked at the amount of hours of pulling that Pulaski, that tool, and raking that ground, and then cutting those trees and moving them, and that hours of work. He looked at his feet and said, these old shoes would do. It's that perspective in life that we lose. And that story to most people may not mean anything. It's that story I always want to have in my life. You cannot lose perspective of where you've come in life.
Rule number 31, live life on your terms.
In the race of life, life's not going to give you a glass of water when you're thirsty. And I realize that. And once again, people are like, my God, your life is horrible. It's not.
Yeah.
This is how I live. This is how I live. This is what I want. I don't judge anybody. This is how I live. And if there's not people like me in this world with this kind of mentality, it's not be like David Goggins. Go run 200 miles. Take something from this. Take something from this. Remember where I started from. You don't need to go where I went.
Right.
I went this far because I started opening different doors to the cellar in my brain. My God, is this possible? Oh my God, that's possible. This is possible. I started opening up different compartments. You can leave them shut. I don't care.
Rule number 32, never forget how badass you are.
I'm looking at all these different races, and one comes up, number one, the hardest race in the world, Badwater 135. 135-mile race through Death Valley. I'm like, that sounds nuts. but it didn't describe that it was like a couple day race. I'm thinking, okay, that has to be like a 7-day race. Because I don't know people who run like that. So I end up calling Chris Kosman up. Chris Kosman is the race director of Badwater. And he lives out here in California. He's like, hey, man. I'm like, hey, Chris. I call him up in the first conversation. I actually have all the emails in my book from me, him going back. He's a fucking stickler, man, to tell you that. So I call him up and say, hey, man, I'm going to do this race. He's like, have you ever run 100 miles before? I'm like, no. He goes, well, to get my race, you have to do a 100-mile race. And you got to do 100 miles in 24 hours or less. There was only 2 more races I could do before the deadline dropped. And so I'm like, he goes, you live in San Diego, right? I'm like, yeah. This was Wednesday. I call him up on a Wednesday morning. He goes, well, there's a race on Saturday. And it's called the San Diego One Day at Hospitality Point in San Diego, where you run around a 1-mile track for 24 hours and see how many miles you can get. So I'm like, man, this guy's kind of calling me out. I'm gonna get this done. I'm a SEAL. I'm a badass. Been through Ranger School and shit. I got this. Hardest thing I did my entire life, dude, was this one race. So I go.
Harder than getting through.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
I was not prepared at all. So I go. I sign up for the race. I show up. I'm this big bodybuilder looking guy. Shirt off, black hat on. You know, and I set out. So every mile, I'm gonna see this blue lawn chair. I had Ritz crackers and Mileplex. That was my nutrition, man. No water, no nothing. Just Mileplex.
No water?
No. Ritz crackers and Mileplex, dude.
Come on.
I never drink water on runs and shit. I didn't know about all this shit. So I go out there and I'm running. I get through 50 miles. I'm gonna cut to the chase because I detail it really well in the book. I get going. I sit down at mile 70. And buddy, I hadn't sat down yet. I sit down and everything falls the apart. Literally, man, I'm like peeing blood down my leg. I have some crap coming out of me. And I got 30 miles to go. And I'm in the worst shape of my entire life. And so I won't get too deep into it, man, but I end up going back through my cookie jar, and I talk about, you know, my cookie jar is basically something I invented about. We forget how badass we are when we're suffering, because our mind just stays right there in suffering. The cookie jar is a reminder. You know how your mom used to have the cookie jar. You don't know what kind of cookie you're gonna get, but it may be oatmeal raisin, maybe chocolate chip meat, because she's dumped some in that used to grab one and go.
Yeah.
So my cookie jars, the things I've accomplished, failed at, didn't fail at, just kept on grinding through. So I take this 1 second, I calm down, so I realize, okay, man, I gotta be able to just stand up first, come all dizzy and lightheaded, and I go through this process. And I said, I might quit, but not yet. I go, this is the worst shape of my life. So I said I might quit because when you're not gonna quit something, you got 30 miles to go, your mind's spazzing. Like I'm up, like 30 miles is a long way to go, just fresh. I've already gone 70, I'm in the worst shape of my life. I'm like, okay, so I'm giving my mind some space. Because if you don't give it space, it's just gonna freak out. Okay. So I'm saying, you know what, I'm gonna quit, but let me just sit here for a second and drink some water. Now I'm drinking water. I have my crew going over to get some, nutrition, some food for me. I'm getting better. So now I stand up, like, wow, I'm able to stand up now. Because I wasn't able to, I was all lightheaded. And I'm going on this track, and I get to mile 81, and I wasn't gonna make the time, because I was moving slow.
You're behind time.
Way behind.
Okay.
And this is the craziest thing in the world. And I shit you not. I'm in the worst shape of my entire life, ever. I've never even been close to this. Again, never. Mile 81, I'm not gonna make the time as slow as I was moving. And when your body and mind connect, and I think this is the only time I've ever done this,
okay,
you become a cyborg. I end up running 20 miles at about a 10, 15 mile and get done with that race. I did 101 miles in 19 hours and 6 minutes. And to this day, and I don't detail it well with you, but in the book I do, I learned more from that 19 hours and 6 minutes than I did in all 3 Hell Weeks, Ranger School, and this is months. Ranger School is 60-something days. Hell Week and all the buds is 6 months. I was in buds for like 18 months. I went through Delta Force selection twice, pull-up records. I learned more in that one race that I wasn't prepared for. That 19 hours brought me from utter misery, happiness, failure, success, depression. I went through every emotion in the world in 19 hours.
Rule number 33, learn from every failure.
Most people who are failing are trying their ass off.
Yep.
Most people who are failing are being criticized by people who haven't attempted what you're even trying to fail at. So what I'm failing at, so after I did 2,500 pull-ups my first time going for the record.
Yep.
You know how many people were criticizing me?
People sitting there eating chips on the couch.
Can't even do a pull-up.
Exactly.
Look at your audience who's criticizing you, first of all.
Yep.
They're not even in your world.
Yes.
You don't even talk to me.
Yep.
Block them out. That's the first thing.
Yep.
The second thing is through failure, you get all the answers.
You get all the lessons.
All of them.
Yes.
They're all there.
Yes.
So I was able to go back through and say, okay, this happened, this was wrong, this was wrong, this is wrong. So I don't even look at failure like, I don't even call it failure.
Yeah.
I don't, because I don't look at it like, oh my God, I failed. No, I look at, okay, like trying to invent the light bulb. I'm afraid to know what's failure. I'm trying to invent a light bulb.
Yeah.
I'm trying to break 4,020 pull-ups. That's failure?
Yeah.
Anything you do along that way is amazing.
Rule number 34, figure out your mind.
On this journey in life, there's a lot of people who are f***ed up right now. On the journey, there's always be that in the sewer you came from that's grabbing at your ankle as you're leaving that sewer. That's when it drag you right the back down because you figured it out. They're not willing to figure it out. There's not much to figure out. The only thing to figure out is this. And everybody has a different equation. My equation is different than yours. My equation was very different than most people's.
Rule number 35, practice what you preach.
I have to live what I say. So when you come up from a world of used to lie a lot, and my big thing is facing all this crap, I cannot tell you something I have not done.
Right.
Because why? When you start to formulate this character, this code of ethic, this ethos that you live, not anybody else, it's your own. I cannot tell you something that I haven't done. Why? Because it will haunt me. You are now drinking the Kool-Aid. A lot of people write books on self-help, mental toughness, all this crap. Half of them are living up to that standard. Half of them are living up to that standard. You have to be able to practice what you preach. It has to be what you are. That's why when people say, my God, when you speak on stuff, it's so passionate. Because you're making me relive my life. It's not a comfortable life. This life was made. This life was earned.
Yeah.
And if people like it, great. If not, so be it.
Rule number 36, get back up repeatedly.
I learned to visualize in my life by watching Rocky. And mainly Rocky 1. I love them all. But like the Rocky 3, running on the beach scene, all that. But Rocky 1, 14th round at least 1,000 times. What about you?
No shit. At least 20,000 times. Why is that?
Yes.
I've dissected that 2 minutes and some seconds, 2 minutes and 13, 14, 15 seconds, at least 20,000 times. When I did the pull-up record, and I finally broke it.
Took you 3 times.
Yep, did 4,030 in 17 hours. I listened to one song for 17 hours, and it was going the distance. 2 minutes and 13 something, 14 seconds.
On a loop.
On a loop. But first, this guy named Nandor, he kept playing out loud for everybody. And I brought my own little iPad. I don't ever listen to music, but I was failing so many times at this record, I had to go to that place. So I said, you know what, I don't want to bore you all anymore with this same song, because I had a crew of people there filming it, you know, because it had to be documented. So I didn't want them to be there for 17 hours listening to the same song, kind of it boring. So I put it in my ears, listened the whole time. But I'm going to go a step further. In that round, when Rocky gets knocked down, and Mickey's saying, stay down, and he's getting up, Apollo Creed thinks that he knocked him out. So I have this thing called taking souls, okay? And when you see Apollo Creed turns around, arms in the air, I got him. Do you see when he turns around and he sees, because Apollo Creed knows I was this dude up. He kept coming after me, and I finally knocked him down. When he turns around and looks at Rocky and he says, and watches him get up, and Rocky gets his gloves and motions him to come to him, Apollo puts his head down and just goes like this. It's not so much Rocky getting up, that's big for me. Apollo Creed's face became every that verbally and non-verbally looked at me, because you know that look they give you when you think that, you know, they may not tell you you're a piece of shit, you're nobody, but they look at you almost like, you poor thing. I got them all. I got them all on that, you know that little wheel you have with everybody's name on it and phone numbers and shit? I got them all in that motherfucker in my head. And I spin that bitch every day. And I know right now, whether you hate me, love me, I'm a dick, I'm a this, I'm a that, whatever you want to think, I made it. And I know all of you are looking just like Apollo Creed did, because I just kept getting the up. And all I wanted people to do in my life, I don't care about the money, I don't care about the fame, I don't care if all my followers go away tomorrow. I wanted a lot of people that doubted me to look like Apollo Creed did in that 14th round, because I got back up repeatedly. And when you keep on getting back up like that, no matter how strong the person is that's beating the shit out of you, they eventually look at you and say, you know what, I'm tired. And I just want people to be tired. Just be tired. I want to make you tired, because I just continue. So that's what that movie did to me. That movie changed how I looked at life.
Me too.
It did.
Rule number 37, eliminate hate.
Did you cast out negative people in your life, or just use it as fuel to do even better? And do you still have relationships with energy-sucking vampires?
There's no relationship with, so energy people that suck the life out of me, you're gone.
That's a total Tom Ferry, like energy-sucking vampires.
Right.
Avoid those people, right?
You're gone. But this is the thing about though.
Yeah.
You can't use it for fuel either.
Yeah.
You have to get that hate. You can't move forward with hate.
Yeah.
You can't. I try to do it. Yeah. I used to have energy and all that stuff, but what happens is when you're in a horrible situation in life, that hate and anger, for some reason you can't remember it, because that place you're at is so disgusting, you forget about them.
Yeah.
So you might just let go of this shit anyway.
Rule number 38, train your brain constantly.
We had this class that they designed. Eat an elephant one bite at a time. Self-talk, visualization, arousal control. It's all great. It's all great. It has to be a lifestyle.
Yeah.
You work on mental callousing on a daily basis, because even though your brain, your mind, like your brain isn't a muscle so much, you will lose it. You will lose the ability to suffer in the worst of times if you come out of it for too long. If you can lift 315 pounds and you stop going to the gym for a month, I guarantee you won't be able to pick the same weight up again.
Rule number 39, pick the toughest challenge first.
How do you pick the next challenge?
The next challenge is usually the toughest thing out there. The thing I don't want to do the most.
Yeah.
So my challenges come off of, what am I afraid of?
Yeah.
What am I kind of cowering from? What am I looking at saying,
Yeah.
Because we all know what it is. It's in the back of your mind. It kind of floats back there. It's like, for some of us, it's as simple as, I don't want to get up and run today.
Yeah.
That's what's next.
Yeah.
So for me, it's always, what am I not wanting to do?
Yeah.
And that's how I continue to grow.
Rule number 40, compare yourself against yourself.
Well, I got a great question today. The question was, I'm working my ass off, but I'm not seeing results. What we do is we go on to social media, and that poisons us. We have all these fit models that we're taking these snapshot of. Snapshot these great legs, great ass. If you're a guy, big arms, big shoulders, big chest, all this bullshit. Take that middle snapshot. We start working our ass off for weeks, for months. We don't see results, so we get all pissed off. Those results are there. But what you've done is you take that mental snapshot and you're not seeing the results of that fitness model, that person you want to be. Half of us don't even have it in our bodies to look like that. So what you want to do is take a mental snapshot of how you looked before and where you're at now. That's what you want to do in life. Compare yourself against yourself. Don't get poisoned by bullshit. Stay hard.
Rule number 41, have a morning routine.
What's your morning routine?
Every morning, without fail, the first thing I do is I run. Without fail. I haven't missed a day of running since 2016.
Okay.
So I get up, I do that. 4 days out of the week, I go to the gym. And every single night for 5.5 years, I stretch out for at least 2 hours.
That was a killer part of the book.
Every night. That's where so when you go so hard, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, you have to have time set aside to quiet and recover. Recovery's big. The mind, especially the mind and the body.
Yep.
This is my time. There's no phone calls. There's no emails. The world does not exist.
Yep.
Because I have to get ready for tomorrow.
Yep.
Get the body opened up. Why? Because as I won't get too deep into it.
You went deep into the book. It was awesome.
But your body's getting tight.
Yeah.
You go hard, Tom.
Yeah.
A lot of people go hard. What happens is that stress starts to tighten up that psoas muscle.
Hip flexors, psoas,
So
lower
bad.
back. You got back problems all of a sudden. You have no idea
That's
why.
right.
It's all tightness.
It's all tightness, man, because you're constantly charged and going hard.
Rule number 42, examine your darkness.
When I left, I was young. I had a young kid's point of view on my father. So when I was 22 at 300 pounds, I went back to see my dad. Because I wanted to make sure that what I saw at 8 is the same vision, because it's my father. I don't want to not talk to my father, no matter what he did, no matter what I saw, but was it through a young kid's eyes? So at 22, I went back. And I was able to examine him as a man, as a fragile man that I was.
Sure.
But I was able to examine him. And through this process, by this point in my life, I was examining myself and realizing I have a whole mess of problems. Big time. Some were from him. Some were for people that bullied me. A lot were from me. And in knowing how messed up I was able to examine everybody around me. I examined him. And I examined him to know, my God, the insecurities that you must have, the problems that you must have inside of you, I don't want to have those. I come from my Father. I have what he has. And I didn't want to be him. Why he made fun of me, my brother, why he beat the hell out of me, my brother, my mom. It comes from a dark place, an insecure, dark place. Why he womanized, why he sold prostitutes, why he ran, all this stuff he did. A good human being doesn't need to do that. A fulfilled human being doesn't need to break anyone down. All they do is want to build you up. So anybody you meet that calls you out of your name, that bullies you, that messes you up, that makes you feel not lifted, they are dealing with something deep-rooted. Yeah, you have to have a tough tone with some people to help them out. There's a difference. You have to be hard. I'm hard on people, but it comes from a good place.
Yeah.
The biggest lesson he taught me was how not to be. And that's why I had to fix what I was. Because insecurities make everybody around you feel like hell. And that's the one thing I did not want anyone to feel like. That's why I judge no one. Tons of whites have called me nigger. Tons of people have hurt me. I judge no one because I know where it comes from. I know you. I was once you. That's why now the place I'm at, you get a get out of jail free card. You need to help yourself. You ain't bullying me, man.
Right, you're fine.
I'm good.
Whatever you throw at you,
I'm good.
You're like,
I know what's wrong with you because I was once you.
Right.
So I started to examine people, examine myself, examine my darkness, realizing how I cannot be, but I got it from examining him. Saying I cannot be that.
Rule number 43, treat life as an endurance sport.
A lot of us are being forced into solitude right now, in our homes, apartments, wherever we live. But we're also being forced into solitude in our own minds. Life is the most brutal endurance sport of all time. And that's what we have to love about it. We have to flip it on its head and love the fact that life continues to attack us. There are no timeouts. You can't just go like in a sporting event when the coach doesn't like something and call timeout. You have to figure shit out on the fly. You have to be that person who's always prepared. But the solitude right now that a lot of us are dealing with is what we don't want to deal with. It's the fact that we have to think about all these things that we don't like about ourselves. We like to use life as a big escape. That escape is not there anymore. All these distractions that we use, they're no longer there. This is the time right now for you to stop avoiding things. Get that pen and paper out. Look inside yourself. Stop looking at me or other people out here to be the hero of your story. This is time for you right now in all that solitude to get to know who you are as a person. Be alone with yourself. Write that shit down. Start to face these different things in life. Knowing one thing in life, we are all very fragile in this world. We have to know that when we die with some meaning and some purpose in this world. Stay hard.
Rule number 44, become your best.
In chapter 11, that's the last chapter, right?
Right, last chapter.
And Adam does a wonderful job, sort of narrating and telling the story. But then you broke into this piece that I had such an even deeper appreciation for you, where you're like, look, man, like this visualization about like one day when we all die, right? So would you mind, I mean, I know it's totally in the book.
No, it's fine.
But I think it's a great way to wrap this.
So let's say this, man. So I don't care what you believe in. I'm not judging you. I believe in God.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're atheist. I don't give a damn what you are. But for this scenario,
yes,
let's say that you're God.
Yeah.
Let's say that you guys, for those of you who read my book, get the audio book or the hardcover, whatever, I used to weigh 300 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was 175 in high school and 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Let's say that I didn't improve myself at all. I die at 75 years old. I'm 300 pounds. I worked for Ecolab my entire life, making $1,000 a month. That's what I made.
Yeah.
And I go to heaven, and you're God. And you have a big, long line of people. And I'm standing in line. I'm coming up. I'm next. So you have Mary Ann. And Marianne, you're talking to her, you're judging her. And I'm like, what the hell does God have in his hand? What's that paper?
Yeah.
And so God tears it away and throws it in the trash can, and Marianne goes walking away.
Yeah.
Now, you have a piece of paper in your hand, and I'm next. And God says, sit down, David.
David Goggins.
That's right. David Goggins on top of the paper. And I say, and God gives me the paper. And I look at it. And I'm reading this paper, and on the paper I'm seeing all these amazing things. You were a 185-pound athlete. You ran all these crazy races. You broke records. You were a Navy SEAL. You were the only person to do this, do that, do everything. You had a best-selling book, man. You changed millions of lives. And I look at God, who is you right now, and I say, this says David Goggins up here, which is my name, God, but this isn't me. I'm like I think you gave me the wrong paper. And God says, no, because God knows all, God sees all. And God looks at me and says, this is what you should have been. This is what you should have been.
Yeah.
This is what you should have been.
Yeah.
You should have been this. We all have a choice in the world.
Yeah.
God, or whatever you believe in, knows what you're supposed to be, knows what's inside of you.
Yeah.
But most of us take the choice that makes us feel good.
Yeah.
We're not willing to break through those barriers to find, so my whole mindset was this. That's how I visualize. I visualize that one day I will be judged by something much more powerful than me.
Yeah.
And my whole thing is, while I'm living on earth, God knows everything about David Goggins. Even God, I want God to be up there with a pen, get another piece of paper saying,
he did what?
I didn't even know he'd do that. I didn't know he'd do this. So I want God to be impressed with how I turn out.
Yeah.
Which means I want to check off every single box of all the possibilities of what I'm supposed to be in life.
Yeah.
Leave nothing to question in my life.
Rule number 45, be mature.
How do you react or respond when someone says something to you negative or cuts you off in a car, or just something happens in life every day that could potentially upset you? Do you react? Do you respond? Do you do nothing? Do you give them a hug? I mean, what is the process for you now?
The process used to be angry David Goggins.
Scream at them, swear at them, yeah.
Yes.
Pick a fight.
That was the old me.
Yeah.
The old me was pick a fight, go do whatever. Through this process of my life, when you get to this point I'm at, and I still be in the car and I'll talk to my fiance, this is jackass, whatever, whatever. I now know that I can escalate a problem. That's not really a problem. I have a throttle, and that's through self-examination.
Yeah.
Is this a big deal? Is this something I need to approach with a level 3 engagement of like, we're going at it?
Right.
Or is this a level 2 engagement? So now you have to be mature enough, and I'm really big on maturity because I was never mature for so many years. With age and knowledge, you have to bring in maturity. Age doesn't mean you're mature. It's going back in and saying, okay, man, look, I'm at a point in my life, what is smart? If I do this, I can see the future. I can see that if I do this, this is going to happen. I'm going to escalate this problem. Is this warranted? There are some things that warrant me to escalate a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what I do now. I take it through a process.
You rate it, yeah.
Yes. It goes on a rating program.
Rule number 46, don't let fear stop you.
The most important step we'll ever take in life is our next one. But a lot of us get our feet stuck in concrete. We get our feet stuck in concrete because we're afraid to make enemies. We're afraid to speak what's on our mind. We're afraid of being in that group of people. And when you walk away, we're afraid of what they might say behind your back. All that fear clouds your brain, clouds your thinking. One thing in life, you're gonna always have haters. Embrace them. If you can walk on water, trust me, your haters will say you can walk on water because you can't swim. Learn one thing, shut the noise out. Embrace the fact that people don't like you. It means you're doing something right. Stay hard, stay in the fight.
Rule number 47, become a savage.
If you can dream and not make dreams your master, we all have dreams.
I had it when I was younger. So I figured the best place to make those dreams come true are in isolation. So I walked into isolation as David Goggins, but I walked out of isolation as Goggins. When you become a savage is in isolation. When you're training for a big MMA fight or just a boxing match, you don't stay outside of isolation. You go in isolation. And that's when your mind changes. That's when your focus changes. Your dedication changes. Don't use this time to f up your mind. Use it to gain strength, gain focus. Isolation is the key to strengthen your mind. Come out a savage.
Rule number 48, be your own hero.
You are your own hero. You are your own leader. You are your own master. And that is a big one because we idolize so many people and we want to be them. We want to be someone else. And in doing that, you lose all the potential of who you are. You mimic, you be them, you are them, you become them, and you lose you. And we look up to so many people in this world who will let us down. We're humans. I'm going to let you down. You're going to let somebody down. If you put them on a pedestal, you then lose time when that person comes up and lets you down. You must hold yourself accountable, and being your own hero, that's what that does. You make yourself so totally accountable for who you are. You focus on you and only on you to become the best person you could be for others. Because we leave a lot on the table, not searching who we are. And then therefore, you die not knowing your greatest potential.
Rule number 49, enjoy the pain.
So I'm sitting there and I think I'm gonna die. And worst shape of my life. And I'm in this tub and I'm jackhammering and I have this hot water hitting me. And I'm literally in the worst pain. My shins, my feet, I'm broken. And I'm just sitting, I'm cramping up. And she said, we gotta get you to the doctor. You know, your mom's worried, I'm worried about, like, we've never seen this before in my life. And I go, I'm not going anywhere. I wanna sit here and enjoy this pain. And I know the listeners hearing this are gonna say, man, you're a nut. No, I'm not. What I got a chance to experience in that 19 hours and 6 minutes of my life was something I didn't want any painkillers. This was proof positive. What I was feeling is what I just did. I did something without training, without coaching, without a cheering staff, without any knowledge. I took a raw human being with no training whatsoever, put him out in a condition, and just through this alone, got through it.
Amazing.
And I sat there and I was like, it was the best feeling I've ever had and will ever have in my I was in the worst pain in my life, and it was the best feeling I ever had in my life. Not because of the pain I was in, but the pain was confirmation of, my God, did I just do that?
Wow.
And I had completed hell weeks, but that right there was like, don't take this from me.
Man.
And it was confirmation, proof positive that this young kid that came from that wasn't that lied and shit I was now the truth.
And rule number 50, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is help yourself.
I get a lot of questions, people asking me for help. So I asked them, what have you done to help yourself? Most of them say, I've been working hard. I'm all about being your own hero, but I'm not about kissing your ass. In life, a lot of us believe that we're working much harder than we actually are. We think if we got up early for 4 days, we've earned something. You gotta drop your entitled mindset. It's dead weight. We believe we work harder than we actually have. Trust me, most of us haven't. The one thing in life you gotta realize is this: learn to help yourself. Don't count on other people to help you.
Now I've got a special bonus clip from David on how to stay hard that I think you're gonna enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I wanna know, what fear do you have that you need to stop letting it stop you? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you're still here watching and you promise, you commit, let's go Believe Nation. We don't just watch videos here, we do something about it. If you are gonna commit to taking action today, give me a hashtag Believe in the comments below. I want to celebrate you.
So today, I decided to try to PR my long run. So the first half of the run, I'm feeling great. My mind is clear, nothing going on. Think about nothing but just my running pace, what I'm doing, my breathing, everything like that. Get to mile 15, I turn around, and the demons start to creep in. That inevitable wall's creeping up on me. When you push so hard, something's about to give. And I start to give. My mind started to break down. I started feeling my legs starting to hurt. I started feeling dehydrated. Started feeling sorry for myself. Started looking around. No one knows I'm out here running. Why don't you go ahead and just stop? Call your girl, have her pick you up. And that's not a little bitch. And this is when your mind has to change. You gotta start thinking, I'm the grittiest in the world. Your dehydration? It. Lick your lips. Your legs are all sore. You feel like you got splits and stress fractures. No, you don't. You got sore legs. Get out of your head and stay hard.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.